Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle, and I'm joined today by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay. Tuesday, June the 6th, Ryan, and day two of Celtic's new managerial hunt. We believe Ange still to be unveiled at Tottenham, but yes, it's looking like Celtic are in the market for a new football manager. How are you, young Ryan?
Yeah, I'm doing not too bad. Sort of enjoying all the names that are getting battered about at the moment with regards to the Celtic managerial post. It's just part of the fun, I guess. I know it can be a stressful time, but as long as we get the appointment right, I won't complain if we take our time a wee bit, as long as we get the perfect candidate through the door.
We tried to keep it as positive as possible yesterday, didn't we, Ryan?
We
And
did.
look on the bright side of stuff. So we'll do that again today. But first and foremost, guys, thank you for joining us, everybody. You want to throw your comments up in the comment section, please do. But first and foremost, as we always do, you can subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality football journalism covering the club you love, all for a click of a button, guys, at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We thank everybody that's already done that, and we see and hear a lot of them in the comments, and we appreciate that. So if you enjoy this and you enjoy the podcast, then why not subscribe to the website? www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Ryan, where are we in terms of managerial searches? Bookies' odds were fluctuating on various candidates yesterday. The favourite was changing every hour. So have you caught up? Have we got a favourite just now? As I was reading and hearing, Enzo Maresca has kind of leapt to the top of the favourites chart, has he not?
He was at the moment on Sky Bet. At least it's Brendan Rodgers who's still the favourite, but there was reports yesterday coming out that he wasn't interested in a return to Celtic at this moment in time. Now I know there was quotes from a couple of years ago that said he would come back to Celtic at some point if the opportunity was right, if the timing was right. But it seems as if at the moment he's not interested in coming back, despite what the bookies are saying. Enzo Maresca, I think, is second. Let me just have a wee check at that. Yep, he is 2-1 just now on Sky Bet, followed by Knutsen, who is he is 6-1. So yeah, it's the same sort of names that are getting battered about day on day now as we get into the second, third day of hearing about this potential move. There's names that just aren't going away. You see guys such as David Moyes in the running as well. Obviously, he's got his hands full just now with a Conference League final coming up tomorrow. So, yeah, it's an interesting time. The fact that Maresca in particular, the fact that he's a member of the City group, he's Pep Guardiola's assistant at Manchester City, that to me displays continuity at least. If anything else, I tweeted about that last night. The fact that that would make sense in terms of a continuity sort of appointment if you're trying to keep the same sort of players going. But it's a risk. We were talking about this last night in our group chat. It is a risk, as is any appointment at this point. But we'll see how it goes. There's names getting batted about all the time, and I'm sure we'll hear some new names in the coming hours, as we always seem to do.
Yes, now we spoke yesterday about Kjetil Knutsen, the Bodo Glimt boss, and on social media it even prompted Jan Ager Fjortoft to go onto social media and just put a direct message at Celtic FC saying you want to have a look at this guy. We believe that they should be looking at this guy. He was, as I said, a person of interest, Ryan. So it wasn't funny, but it was ironic that Jan Ager Fjortoft took to Twitter to actually steer Celtic in that direction. I actually also believe to be interested in him. Now, the group chat we were talking about last night with Maresca was the fact that we weren't too impressed with his stint at Parma when he has been a boss. He's been an assistant everywhere. So the Parma episode didn't register well with ourselves, Ryan, wasn't that? Was the kind of the big stumbling block with that for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Just looking at his sort of statistics, it was kind of even with regards to wins, loses, and draws. He wasn't there at Parma for very long. But as we've known over the past couple of years, Parma have had real financial difficulties. Their relegation, remember, they had to sort of fold and start as a sort of new company or new club. That was pretty interesting. Them going to the sort of fourth division of Italian football, so they've been trying to make their way back. I know they made their way back to the top league, but they get relegated. Yeah, it was a difficult job, and you can look at the negatives, the fact that he ultimately did fail there, but you look at the positives, he was brave in taking a job that is not easy. They're very expectant fans, or fans that have experienced success before in Italy, especially in the 90s and 2000s with the teams that they had. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where he does have managerial experience, maybe not the experience that we would want in terms of looking at his statistics, but he's cut his teeth in a really difficult situation. So I guess you could look at that as a sort of positive if Celtic do go for him.
What you say, if he can handle that, he could handle anything. Ryan, is that what you're trying to tell? Is that the way you're passing this off? And also, I believe Maresca was interviewed for the job during the time they appointed Ange, wasn't he?
I remember his name getting batted about. I was more sort of on board with the appointment because of I looked at the work that he'd done with the Manchester City under-23s. They basically walked the league whenever he was manager. Some really good young talent, McAtee coming through there, Delap. I'm trying to think of other Cole Palmer as well. There's really, really talented youngsters in that Manchester City team that are starting to get more chances in the first team, which is good for Manchester City, I suppose, for their quota. But it shows the work that Enzo Maresca had done down at Manchester City, that these guys are breaking through into a really, really, arguably the best Premier League side in history, you could say. So if they're knocking on the door, then that's credit to Maresca's job.
Now, lots of comments coming in, as you would imagine, Ryan, like yesterday as well. We will continue to discuss the calibre of candidates, but I'll flick up some of these comments, shall I? Chill Pill Morning, Chill Chat needs to be who's the next manager. No talk of Postecoglou. Michael Ross saying not my choice, but Maresca is the man. Dermot Desmond is after. Beach Boy says Maresca comes from a forward-thinking coaching machine, working with the best coach football has produced. If he brought that mentality, what's not to want? Something that you alluded to as well. Michael Ross saying sounds great, but he was a disaster at Parma. We just talked about that, and he said if he's Pep's number 2, must have something. And he also saying that he likes Knutsen, but Ajax and others are looking at him. And Beach Boy saying, morning guys, Potter had a disaster at Chelsea. Is he a bad coach? There are circumstances behind every job failure, mainly the club owners and players, but managers get labelled as garbage. I think that's a valid point. And
very valid, very.
And I don't think Graham Potter is a bad manager. And we spoke yesterday, our 2 preferred candidates would be Knutsen and Potter, wouldn't it? Jason Lee doing a manager that plays a 4-3-3 would be nice. Go on, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with what you said. I think out of the two sort of preferred candidates would be Knutsen and Potter, basically just due to the fact that we've seen how those two play football more than the other managers that have been linked. We've seen, I mean, if you watch any sort of game that Brighton played, the blueprint to Brighton's success was made by Graham Potter. Yes, it's been perfected by Roberto De Zerbi, who is a phenomenal coach at Brighton. All the groundwork was laid by De Zerbi to just come in and implement his own style. Guys such as Matoma, guys like Pascal Gross, they were all scouted and brought in by Graham Potter. So he's clearly got an eye for a player. It's good recruitment from him, and I think it is it Tony Bloom? Tony Bloom that's the chief executive.
Yes,
at
Tony
Brighton. So yeah, it's a really good sort of framework at Brighton, and I think Graham Potter would be an absolute coup if we were to bring him in. I was making the point that it wouldn't be as big a coup as Brendan Rodgers was when he got announced by Celtic in 2016, though, because Brendan Rodgers was close to winning the league with Liverpool. He'd managed at Liverpool for 3-4 seasons, and then we managed to bring him in with Potter. He'd done a great job at Brighton, but ultimately, and despite how harsh it is, he failed at Chelsea. Chelsea had a dismal season under his guidance for those 6-7 months. So he'd be coming in with a point to prove. And I just think it'd be a sort of great career resurgence for him if he was to get the Celtic job. And I think a lot of Celtic fans would be on board with Potter coming through the door.
It happened with Brendan Rodgers. He reinvented himself at Celtic, didn't he? And I'm sure Graham Potter could do the same at Celtic if that was the route that Celtic chose to go down. Michael Ross, bet we go their City group links and appoint Maresca, Lanky coming in, Mano Lanky. Enzo Maresca being lined up with next Celtic manager. He said an article was written last month on the City Extra. Mark Stapp, anyone but Maresca, he's saying, and Jason Lee, he actually really loves the football drama though. We're liking it all as well, aren't we here? Brian, Derek Crawford, morning all. Total sick of the talk about Ange. He has made his bed in line. It's a Celtic podcast. We're all interested in Celtic. Yes, Derek. So are we. Curtis comes in and says, anyone but Moyes, Chris McCarthy, a new manager coming in will want to put his own stamp in the team. Plus, there's probably a few agreements in place to move some of the current squad on. It's a wait and see. Martin K. Potter's a good shout, in my opinion. Oof. We seem to have lost young Ryan. I'll just keep reading these out till he comes back on. Tim Anon says, morning guys, woke up today, still a Celtic fan, regardless of who our manager is. That tops everything. Don't know what's happened to Ryan. Hopefully he comes back in. Read some more comments. Troops. The problem, the time is not the best, and it sure isn't for Celtic. This is the biggest job that Ange could ever get, and he doesn't take. Now, he might not get the chance again. I don't know. Is he talking about Ange or probably not? Lanky come back in. Celtic to I die, no matter who the boss is. John Keenan got to be Knutsen. That's my own preferred candidate. Maresca didn't do too well with Palmer, did he? No, he didn't. We were talking about earlier before you come on. I'll try and get Ryan back here, shall I? Maybe drop the signal. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. It's the trials and tribulations of live broadcasting and podcasting. I think Ryan's signal might have dropped. I'll keep reading your comments. Red Scotland morning. If you can't handle Palmer, Celtic will chew you up. Not for me. And Jason Lee saying Ange told us at the start he never gets attached. And Patrick McLaughlin saying it's Wim Jansen all over again. This. So hopefully young Ryan will come back in, because it's pointless having a podcast broadcasting on your own, isn't it? And you're back in the room, sir. Marvellous. I was killing time till you got here, as Billy Connolly once famously said. Don't know what happened there. Live broadcasting, it happens. I was reading comments out and stuff as you go there, so, and trying to hope that you would make your way back in. Everything all right? You didn't slip down that lift shaft that you seem to be in there, you know?
No. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It seemed as if my internet went off then on. It was quite weird because I was using my internet connection and it was still on, but it took me out of the stream. So sorry about that, guys.
It's all right. Alistair Ross, Graham Potter would be a good appointment. He will want to get over his Chelsea nightmare, and he is ambitious. And a couple of other comments coming in as well. Potter would be, where is it? I'll try to flick that up there. Someone saying that Potter would bring Billy Reid with him. Billy Reid, former Hamilton Accies manager, and knows the Scottish football terrain. Ryan, would you be on board with that?
Yes, I would, absolutely. Billy Reid, he's a big Scottish football man. I was actually writing about him yesterday, and he's followed Graham Potter wherever he's went since around about 2011. He's been there at Ostersund's, he's been there at Swansea City, at Brighton, and then at that wee spell at Chelsea. So it's a guy that knows Graham Potter well, but also knows Scottish football well due to his time at Hamilton. I think he was the manager that brought James McCarthy into the first team. James McCarthy and James McArthur.
He was, and he was also manager of the year he did that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he was a really good manager. That'd be good stock to work with, I think, if he was to get brought into the setup at Celtic.
Yes, correct. Any other managerial candidates? Ryan, I know you touched upon Brendan Rodgers and reports saying yesterday that he's not interested in Celtic return this time, while there was other clips of him saying that he would be interested in a return to Celtic at some point. So we just wait and see what happens with that. We spoke about Brendan Rodgers being a pretty high bar as a managerial candidate. Other candidates that have been bandied about: David Moyes, Stevie Clarke. David Moyes preparing for the Europa Conference League final with West Ham against Fiorentina on Thursday night. Steve Clarke as well, Scotland manager. Any of them float your boat?
I think in terms of the names that I've seen batted about, I think Jesse Marsh would be quite an interesting one. I listened to a clip last night of him talking about being linked with the job back in 2021. Comes across as a really, really good guy. I know that doesn't necessarily translate to being a good manager, but he's been down on his luck, I think, in the past couple of years with his past two managerial roles at Leeds and at Red Bull Leipzig, or RB Leipzig as they're known. Yeah, they're two jobs that really haven't worked out for him. But you've got to remember, before he was in there, he was so highly rated at Red Bull Salzburg. I remember he gave Liverpool a fright at Anfield. I think it ended 4-3 to Liverpool. But Salzburg came back right in the game. It helped that they had a 19-year-old Erling Haaland up front, who sort of burst onto the scene in that game. But yeah, it's one of those appointments that it could be a good fit for both, because you bring in a good manager, and for him it'd be a great sort of career resurgence for him, because the last couple of years have been awful for him. I think people look at him in a certain way now as if he's a sort of failure because of his last two clubs. And I love an underdog story, a guy coming back and doing the business. So I wouldn't be against him coming in if he was linked with the job. And I've got to be honest, I think he would be interested in the job, looking at the way his career's panning out just now.
JJ McGarvey coming in, and any Leeds fans he's spoken to says avoid Jesse Marsh at all costs. That's
I think he'd say the same about Leeds now, to be honest.
Andrew Gallia, the Bodo manager, that's Kjetil Knutsen, bring a couple of his big athletic players with him. The one we would like to see if Knutsen come in is Saul back in, isn't it, Ryan?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. He's just tailor-made for the Scottish League, I would say, and for away days in the Champions League, I would say as well. He's a one-man wrecking machine on the counter-attack. Yep. Whenever he was running against us in those two legs, I was frightened about what our defenders could do or couldn't do against him. He seemed to run the show, as did a couple of their other players. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with them all in.
Derek Smith, Potter might have done well, but he's not a winner. What has he won? Lanky coming back in saying next manager will be Maresca, guarantees it. Michael Ross looks like I said after Knutsen as well. Most certainly are men in demand, but Derek Crawford saying Marsh is a hothead and will never handle the pressure of being the Celtic manager. He was poor at Leeds and always lost the head. David Gemmell, no way Rodgers after what he'd done last appointment, and he said he wouldn't even want Rodgers. We spoke about that yesterday, the kind of divide the Celtic supporters with Brendan Rodgers. If Clark is appointed, I'm asking for my money back, says Plunge McNugget. There you go. And James Murray, as I once said, if we see ourselves as a big club, we have to behave like a big club. Yep, we can take Knutsen from Ajax interest. I think if you want to act, I've said this before, you act like a big club, you behave like a big club. Go and ask the questions of these people like Knutsen. You have to ask the question. You have to get an answer, and you have to see if they're interested, because I think of candidates around, Knutsen's really probably top of my list, and it's a sliding scale from there. Enzo Maresca and Jesse Marsh I'm not totally enamoured with, but I guess it's like everything else. After Ange coming in, I'm not saying he was a relative unknown, but he was unknown to Celtic supporters, wasn't he? And so even if you have opinions on some of these guys, if they come in then and they're appointed, then they need to get the chance. But yeah, I just like the way Knutsen set up against Celtic when Bodo Glimt played Celtic and they destroyed them, and they had a few players, as you said, Solbakken being the one that we kind of looked at and thought he did real damage, and I just think appointing managers like that, then they can help entice players the same way you think Ange Postecoglou might entice some of the Celtic players down to Tottenham. That remains to be seen about that as well. So, but yeah, Isaac McQuaid, can Celtic afford big name managers? Is Knutsen a big name manager, Ryan? Is this not kind of this would be a real opportunity for him because he's been at Bodo Glimt for quite a while, for quite some time, and quite surprised that nobody has come in for him.
I'm surprised as well, and it seems as if it's went from 0 to 100 with regards to people that are interested in him. So he's been in that job for what, 4 or 5 years now, and now all of a sudden he's just getting linked with nobody, and then he's getting linked with Ajax. That's a really big jump. I think Celtic should ask the question. You should, as you were saying, Tony, you need to act like a big club if you want to be a big club. Celtic should be the most attractive job just now. They're one of the big. Celtic is one of the most attractive jobs in world football just now, because you look at everything that's going for it. Group stage of the Champions League, just coming off the back of a treble, domination in the league. It should be really appetising for any manager, maybe not just European managers, maybe managers from South America who want to cut their teeth in Europe. Celtic should be the first place that they stop, or Celtic should be the first place that they're looking at, because it's a great opportunity. And with the fact that Ange Postecoglou will be going to Spurs, it shows that there is a pathway for managers who do well in Scotland to then get a big job in England. That pathway has now been made. It was made with Brendan Rodgers, albeit to a lesser extent with Leicester, although they were doing well at the time. But now there's a pathway into what you would say is one of the bigger clubs down south in Tottenham from Celtic.
Yeah. Now, Steve McGrory, morning Steve, regular contributor, how you doing? He's talking about Knutsen. He's saying Ajax can't offer Champions League football next season. That's a major carrot for Celtic. And I spoke to Mark Bosnich, and I'll put the link to that. It's on the website today. That's one of the many comments that he makes. He says that Celtic are an attractive proposition. Did that go in yet? The link's gone in there. Yep. If you want to have a wee read at that, that's on the website today. Mark Bosnick's talking about Ange Postecoglou, who used to share a TV studio when Ange was doing his punditry. And so, yeah, he had some interesting thoughts about contracts and also rekindling his love for Scottish football through Ange and watching games, Celtic games in the boozer with a Manchester United supporters club upstairs, a Celtic supporters club downstairs, and he always found himself downstairs. So have a read at that, guys. You'll enjoy that. Mark Bosnick's in good form, talking about the departure of Ange Postecoglou. But yeah, I agree with Steve. That's a fair point. Ajax can't offer Champions League group stage, not qualifiers, Ryan. It's Champions League group stage. Any manager coming in, you're pitting yourself against the best straight from the off. I think that's as attractive as it gets. Jamie Young coming in, Knutsen since he schooled us twice, phone the man. My thoughts. Person of interest, he's on it. He has to be on a list. And Samuel Knutsen will not turn down Ajax, I'm afraid. He'll turn them down if Celtic make him an offer and he wants to come. But again, if you're me, you have to ask the question of these guys. I just think he's the next to Rodgers in terms of being an outstanding candidate. Rodgers is a high caliber candidate because of what he's done and in the game, and because he's been at Celtic before. But if you're talking about another top level candidate, then I think Knutsen and Potter fall into those categories, and those two in particular, in my mind, have to be asked the question. Red Scotland also saying Ajax are not a bigger draw as Celtic. I would say that too. I don't know if that's just wearing the green tinted spectacles, but
are close. I'd say the two are close.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the fact that Ajax are a massive team as well. If Ajax were mid-table, they'd still be an attractive proposition for Knutsen. Ajax are a massive team in world football. You look at the links with Johan Cruyff, obviously. Even the players that they brought recently, the fact that they got to the semi-final of the Champions League a couple of years ago as well. They're a team that very much do things the right way in terms of youth development, and that would really be up Knutsen's street. So if you were trying to entice him to take the Celtic job, then you would have to convince him that there is a similar or sort of a similar or competitive structure similar to Ajax's, because at Ajax you've got it all sorted. You've got one of the best sort of lines of development in terms of youth players in the world.
Football, yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. Now, also on the website today is a personal piece that I wrote about dealing with Ange Postecoglou, getting the mate treatment et al. Have a read at that, guys. You'll enjoy that as well. It's, I say, I was asked to write about what it was like to deal with Postecoglou, so I put that in the system for you. You can have a read at that, and I tell the Easter Road story, Ryan, that I got the mate treatment, so it's all in there. Okay, so you can have a read at that, guys. It's on the website and enjoy that today. But yeah, I think you got to pose the question of Knutsen, so that's the way it is. And if he wants to go to Ajax, he wants to go to Ajax, but at least ask the question and get him to tell you why he doesn't want to come to Celtic. Because I just think at this moment in time, Celtic are in a wonderful position, Ryan, to offer a decent calibre candidate and manager worth his salt, a real opportunity here. Do you agree? Oh, Ryan's signal gone again. Oh dear. Oh, the trials and tribulations of live TV, guys. Oh, there you have it. I'll keep taking your comments, guys. Kevin Ferrier, Ryan Froze, he did indeed. And Natalie McMullen, will Celtic still go to Japan for a pre-season friendly? I think that's set in stone, Natalie, but I was wondering that myself. We shall see. But it kind of lost its sheen a wee bit, hasn't it? Because Ange Postecoglou won't be there. But that's I like this. Where is it? Ed from Jed. Ryan's away to Spurs too. I'll let him know that when he comes back on. But yeah, if you didn't think we were live, there you go, guys. This is we're live. There you have it. David Gem will come in. Natalie's right. They're all booked up for Japan and South Korea, and then Ange left, and Andrew Galea saying that our players will be in demand because Ange has shown how good they can be. Totally. And Patrick McLaughlin comes in and says could be a massive turnover of players again before September incoming. And Natalie comes back in. Do you think he'll take Kyogo? It's a fair bet, isn't it? That he'll take, or he'll certainly try and get Kyogo, but Celtic have tied Kyogo down in a long-term contract, so he'll have to pay a lot of money for Kyogo. Alistair Ross, doing a good job, Tony, consummate professional. Thanks very much, that's very kind. I just like engaging with you guys. You know I do it every day. I flick up the comments. I'll just keep flicking up the comments until our man comes back, or if he doesn't come back, so be it. But Chalpel saying, don't sell Kyogo. I'm not advocating for Celtic to sell Kyogo, but if they do sell Kyogo, he has to go for plenty. And Ange knows that as well. He knows he's worth now, so he can't come in and lowball Celtic. He has to give you something commensurate of Kyogo's worth. Now, Seamus Gallagher, morning Seamus. Hopefully none of our top players go this season and give the Champions League another go. Here we go. Speaking of another go, here's another go. He's back. I told you, just holding the fort till you got here, young man. It's all good. We are. Des Harkin comes in. Will he try and take Cameron Carter-Vickers? There's every chance he'll try and cherry pick some of the best Celtic players, but these guys are all on watertight contracts. They will cost huge amounts of money, and Celtic have every right to be difficult to deal with in those negotiations, Ryan, wouldn't they?
Yeah, is this just about sort of Ange Postecoglou?
The commenters were asking, will they come for Kyogo? Will they come for Carter-Vickers? Will the Japan and South Korea trip go ahead? That kind of stuff.
That's the thing. I still think these things will go ahead. Obviously, they've been planned for months now, and Celtic have still got loads of Japanese players and a South Korean player too. So we still get plenty of reason to visit these places because the fan base is expanding there. I was just reading that David Ornstein has reported that Ange Postecoglou was getting a 4-year deal, so it seems as if he's in there for the long haul at Spurs, or so he'd like to think. I think results will determine that, to be honest. But he'll be wanting to bring in.
I thought contracts didn't mean that much to him, Ryan.
No, I know. It's probably for that security. I don't know what to believe anymore with regards to stuff like that. But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he does come in for any of our players. I don't really think Carter Vickers will want to go back to Spurs after spending so much time there at the club previously, or spending time there but then going out on loan in and out. It seems constantly. Potentially players maybe like I don't know about Kyogo. Kyogo's 28 years old. He would need to hit the ground running if he came in. I want to keep as many players as we can in and around our team for continuity, and because a new manager could get even more out of the players. You never know. Everyone talks about the negative about Postecoglou leaving, but you never know. A new manager could get even more out of these players.
Of course, and it's a cracking squad of players. The nucleus of players that are there are brilliant and a real wonderful football template to work with. Derek Crawford saying, as Sean Martin always said, if Ange wants any of our players, you add £5 million onto their value. The EPL tax, Tony, that's what Sean always said, and EPL tax. So if you've got a 10 million player, he all of a sudden becomes a £15 million player, just because English clubs are awash with dough and the money. But if Ange comes raiding north of the border, then either Celtic tell him where to go or he pays through the nose. That's just the way it works. Dennis Jameson saying apparently said he wouldn't raid Celtic, but we'll see. There's all sorts of talk of some of the backroom staff going as well. Ryan, John Kennedy.
Yeah.
There was that story that he's going to try and raid John Kennedy, and then another story saying that Celtic are going to fight tooth and nail to keep John Kennedy. So we'll see how that transpires. We have a lot of this. Yeah, we have a lot of this, ladies and gentlemen, to happen over the summer. In an ideal world, I would want a quick appointment, Ryan, but because Celtic need to prepare for the Champions League, but I want them to get it right. You're saying take their time and get it right, but I think the main takeaway from that is they have to get it right.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
If they've got, and I'm sure if stories are to believe that Ange Postecoglou was having talks with Tottenham, not just recently, but a while ago, then I'm sure Celtic will have done their due diligence and started succession planning and thinking who can. Well, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. If in an ideal world they're in a successful business, as Celtic should be with the amount that they make year on year, they should have a continual list of shortlist. They should have a continual shortlist of candidates that are available or that fit the bill, even when the manager is present.
Yes.
Because just in terms of contingency plans, there's got to be cohesion.
I would call that acting like a big club, Ryan. Wouldn't you?
It's due diligence. Due diligence, and I would hope that was the case, especially if they've learned lessons following what happened 2 years previous, over 100 days without a manager. I hope we're not even half of that. I hope we're not even a quarter of that, because it just wouldn't be acceptable. I'd like to think that Celtic have sort of grown up from their horrendous 2020, 2021 days, and they're acting like the proper club that they should be. But we'll see. That's there to be. We'll judge that if and when it comes, or when a manager comes in, because these pre-season will come up on us very, very quickly, and then all of a sudden you need to start putting plans in place for the season ahead. This is the downtime, but the downtime always goes so quickly, and then before you know it, it's time to start up again, which is the joy of being a football reporter or a football fan. It never really stops. It only stops for about a week or two, and then things start going again. So, yeah, I think Celtic need to get themselves motoring if they haven't done already.
Yeah. You're across social media, Ryan. I believe Ange's just been announced on Sky Sports a 4-year deal. Is that right?
It seems as if that's the case. Yeah, notifications are going through on my phone. That's probably the reason why my phone was playing up from internet. it seems that Ange Postecoglou is now the Spurs manager. So as it stands, Celtic have got no manager.
Yep, Celtic are currently managerless.
Vacant.
Yep. So roll up, get those calls into the boys we've been speaking about. First port of call is Knutsen for me, but that's just my own personal preference. Hazel Finn, after all the disappointing last few days, annoyed mostly because I didn't see it coming, to calm down a Fergus McCann comment. Being a Celtic supporter is not always easy, but it's always worthwhile. That's very true, Hazel.
That's Celtic just tweeted. Celtic have just tweeted.
And whilst it is, we do have disappointing days, Celtic are still won the treble. They're still in the Champions League group stages. They have lots to offer. Any new managers coming in, Mo Sislak coming in, convince Rodgers, he's saying so.
No manager should need to be convinced about this job, in my opinion.
Correct. No manager needs convincing. If you don't want to come to Celtic or you're unsure about coming to Celtic, then you won't be at Celtic. So
Postecoglou didn't need to get convinced, so therefore his replacement shouldn't need to be convinced. It should be an easy decision to manage Celtic. It should never be a chore. It should be an honour.
And I think you should be inspired by what Postecoglou achieved if you're any kind of manager worth your salt, because he came in under a cloud, didn't he? Lots of people weren't sure, very critical and vocal of that. But so I just think I agree with Mark Bosnick. Celtic are in a wonderful position. It's what we spoke about yesterday. Treble holders, champions, going for 3 in a row, and also Champions League group stage football. You're straight in there, and you have a wonderful squad of footballers to work with, and what will be in terms of other people coming to try and raid those prize assets, but they're on long-term contracts and they will not leave out the door for nothing. If they do go, you've got a chance to come in and improve them, make them even better, and that's quite a frightening prospect if any manager came in and took the baton from Postecoglou and went further. I think any manager coming in, Ryan, Europe has to be a yardstick for them, a benchmark. They have to do something in Europe, claim a couple of scalps in the Champions League group stages, very least get third in their group and drop down into the Europa League and get them to the kind of latter stages. That's what I would also focus on, any new manager coming in, but I would assume would certainly want to do that with Celtic, because that's what big clubs do. So act like a big club, be as competitive as you can in that arena amongst all the bigger football club against the top football clubs in Europe, but go and compete in there. Why can't you compete domestically and in the European competitions? I've never really understood that. A Celtic team should be able to do both, and I want them to do both, and I would like to think that any manager coming in would have the confidence and his own ability to be able to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Like we were talking about yesterday, I'd like Celtic to win a knockout tie in Europe. I've not really seen it before. That's a feeling over the last 20 years since Seville. The fact that I've not seen that. We had that great run, and then it seems as if we stored up all that, and then we've had nothing since then. Ange's and Postecoglou's, I need to remember that now. Postecoglou's record in Europe was mixed at best, you'd probably say. So it's one of those ones where we need to bring in a manager that is going to improve us in Europe, that is going to get us at least third place in the Champions League, so we can get down to the Europa League and make a challenge for it. Because once you're in those latter stages, I'm in a competition to win it. You want Celtic to be the team that nobody wants out of that draw. You want teams to go to Celtic Park fearing that it's a fortress again. So if we bring in a manager that can do that, as well as consolidate the good work that Postecoglou's done in the league, then I think we'll be on to a winner. It's just up to the Celtic board to recruit and scout that replacement just now, because time is of the essence. The Celtic manager's role is vacant.
I want to go as far as we can in the Champions League, Ryan, but at the very minimum, if we don't, then we have to qualify in that third place to get that Europa League. Yeah? I mean, I want to see Celtic reach the knockout stage of the Champions League. I'm famous on here for saying I'm the eternal optimist and the eternal dreamer and romanticist about Celtic and what they can achieve. But hey, I'll never stop believing and thinking like that they can go far in the Champions League and somebody can come in and take them to where they want to be in that competition. So yeah, I want to go as far as I can in the Champions League, but at the very minimum, at least secure that third spot in your group and go into the Europa League and see where you are against teams of that calibre and ilk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing as well. This season coming is the last season that we can drop into third place and then go into the Europa League, because the system changes after this year. The Swiss model, the Champions League. The Champions League's basically becoming a UEFA sponsored European Super League in terms of a big league table of all the teams. So you play 4 games at home, 4 games away. There's no drop down. Once you're in the Champions League, you're either in it or you're out it. So it's going to be interesting in the next couple of years with regards to coefficient. If the Scottish teams do well in that, will they be able to keep up that automatic qualification, or will it just get to a point where we're in the Europa League, which would hurt us financially? But I mean, you want Celtic to be competing in the top Champions League. We won it in 1967, but you also want us to improve in Europe, and maybe that will be the case in this Swiss league by playing 8 games in the Champions League at least. The team will get used to it and they will improve, because it's going to be a real mixed bag of the teams that we can play against. You're going to be playing against maybe a Barcelona or Madrid one week, and then, I don't know, an Ajax or a Red Bull Leipzig the next. It will be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one that we'll look forward to when we get to there. But we need to keep qualifying. We need to just keep qualifying and get that money going.
And at this moment in time, we need a manager, Ryan. Kirabush says, go for Knutsen now, Celtic, please. I couldn't agree more. We have to ask the man the question. He has now become a top person of interest. And Mark Taylor coming in. We are Celtic supporters, nothing else. Managers, players come and go. Some leave with their love, some leave with nothing. And you know, saying, Tony, we should never have gone past group stages with Ange's velocity. We leak goals left, right, and centre. Yeah, but I think that was our Achilles heel last year. We leaked too many goals, which is why we didn't qualify in third spot. So I'm looking for someone to improve on that when we do go into the Champions League group stages proper again this season. And Red Scotland, the Knutsen guy seems to be the right kind of football. And Lanky coming in. I hope we don't need to wait more than 100 odd days again to get a new manager in. Ryan was alluding to that.
I don't think that'll be the case.
He doesn't want to wait.
You would hope.
Yes, it's Celtic, Ryan. Anything?
I'm just,
isn't it?
I'm just reading. I'm just reading Tottenham's sort of press release on their appointment of Postecoglou. It says at the bottom that we shall confirm Ange's coaching staff in due course. So it seems as if there's work being done in the background with regards to who he can bring in. It's a bit annoying considering he didn't bring anybody in to Celtic that he's wanting to sort of take individuals off of us in the process. Yes. But I think in some ways that could be a positive, because it clears the decks, and a manager that does not want to work with the projects that we've got, such as Strachan and Kennedy, they could come in and bring their own guys and put their own stamp on the team. So that could end up being a blessing in disguise for Celtic.
Yep. Monty Kaiser, no man, no player, no manager is bigger than Celtic. Celtic in my DNA and will be forever. I think that's what we were alluding to yesterday, weren't we, Ryan? The Celtic supporters are not Ange supporters. So all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's nearly 45 minutes. I apologise for the technology glitches. They can't be helped, can they, Ryan? It's a nightmare when that happens. And then you're staring at my big ugly mug on the screen, which is, you know, there should be a government health warning attached to that before the 10 o'clock in the morning watershed. But hey, they don't make mirrors the way they used to. I'm 51. I'll get over it. Don't worry. I'll be fine. 51 next month. It's all good. But hey, thank you for that. I've got a feeling that it could be Groundhog Day, guys. You know that feeling, don't you? That we'll turn up and we'll talk managers, we'll talk players leaving, players coming in. It's going to drag on for a while, isn't it? In the summer months, we'll be here. We're always here, and thankfully you guys will come in as well and give your tuppence worth, and we'll throw it up in the comment section. Look onto the website today, you'll see those 2 articles that I posted in the comment section. One on Mark Bosnich and my own personal dealings with Ange. You'll enjoy that. You get the mate treatment, but hey, there you go, Ryan. No more mate treatment. At least you're my mate, aren't you? You know, I can say that, can't I?
Always, Tony, always.
And I've got plenty of mates in the comment section, I believe, as well. Thank you, guys. Couldn't do it without you. I thank you very much today when Ryan's signal went down. You were a great help there with all your responses and digging me out a hole. So thanks for that. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it more. The community that we've built and the people and the friends that we've got now, Ryan, they were worth their weight in gold today, sir.
Certainly are. They came up trumps.
Yeah, they came up trumps. There you go. And if you've enjoyed today and you enjoy it in general, guys, we ask you every day, why don't you take out a subscription to the Celtic Way? We'll endeavour to provide top quality football journalism covering Celtic, the club you love, that we all love. And it's all for a click of a button. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Thanks for your company today. Really enjoyed it. You were very kind to me as well. Ryan, thanks for that. First class. Apologies about your signal and all that. There's a total nightmare, but there you go. And just say thank you to Mark. Mark, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Very kind. We appreciate all the subscribers, all the commenters. Guys, have a wonderful day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Probably talk the same stuff, won't we? But hey, it never stops. We never stop. We'll be on every day during the summer.
Can't use that anymore. You can't use that anymore.
You can't use that anymore. Yeah. So what do we do then? What do we say, Ryan? What do we say? Come up with a new slogan, will we?
Oh, put me on a spot here, Tony. On to the next one.
We move on. Okay.
We move on.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much. Take care, David, yourself. Thanks a lot. We'll see you all tomorrow. Okay, take care. Cheers, Ryan.
Cheers, guys.